Okay, everybody, you can start finding spots. Make sure that your table isn't just youth or adults. Try to spread around. Could you guys grab another table? Get the chairs, we'll get the table. All right, if you don't have a table yet, there is another table being set up in the back there. Okay, everyone, we're going to get started. So, before I start, why don't we give a round of applause to everyone, all the adults that showed up today. Right? These are not your youth leaders. Most of them have worked a full day at work, and now they're here to hopefully help you guys figure out a career. And so when they do come up and they talk, and at the end of the night, give them that respect. That these are people who showed up, who went out of their way. And so at the end of the night, I'm going to talk, Poston's going to come and talk for a bit, and then we're going to get a few of the adults to come up and present about their jobs, just so you guys have a kind of a greater idea of what's out there. So maybe an idea will be planted in your brain of kind of what you can do once you graduate. But at the end of the night, we'll have just a chance where we bought some Krispy Kreme donuts. So you guys will be able to have some donuts, and it'll be your chance to go and ask some of these people that have given up so much of their time some questions about their job, right? Maybe you're curious about becoming a nurse, or maybe you want to go into the medical field. Maybe you're thinking of doing something with finance, right? We have people here tonight, and we have people in our church that would love to answer your questions, would love to kind of show you what their job is all about, and this is your chance to do it now, right? And so what is kind of our goal from tonight is to help you think wisely and biblically about your future, right? Because it's very easy. Who here is in grade 9? Put up your hand if you're in grade 9, right? It can be very easy, right? Your future is so far away. You feel like, I'm not graduating for another 4 years. I have nothing to worry about, right? But that's not the case, right? It's not one of those things where you have to worry about it, but now is the chance for you to begin to kind of set kind of foundational blocks of, man, what career might you go into? Because slowly you'll realize in high school, you'll be able to pick classes sooner or later. Whether you do chemistry, biology, physics, some of those things may be needed for future classes. Now is the time to actually start thinking about it so that you can be wise, but to also start thinking about it biblically. What does it mean for us to think biblically about our future? And so the big idea that we're kind of looking at today is that work is not just a job, it's actually how we worship God. Right? The job that you go into will ultimately be how you begin to live out as a Christian. It's how you give worship back to God. Right? It's not just something you'll clock in and clock out of. It's not just something you'll hate every day, but it's something you'll be able to go and in that 8, 10-hour days, whatever you end up working, be able to worship God through that. And it's so important. This is what actually Paul writes in Colossians. He says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not human masters. Since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. Is the Lord Christ you are serving. Right? This is how Paul is trying to train the Colossians to think about their lives as, man, I am living for the Lord. And so we have a few goals for tonight. Hopefully that in our presentation, in what I'm speaking about, the first one is to have a plan. We're hoping to kind of train you guys up to be able to look forward and have a plan. One of the coolest advices one of my professors in college gives, he said, make up a plan. And by that, he literally means make up a plan. Because you'll slowly notice, the older you get, the more people will ask you, what are you doing when you graduate? And you may have no clue what to do. And his advice was always make something up. He's like, man, if you have no idea, he's just like, come up with something. Right? And I remember being like, oh, that's a great piece of advice. So people started asking me, and I was like, I think I'm going to become a firefighter. And then I was just like, man, and then I changed my mind. I was like, no, maybe I'll go into engineering. Right? And my mind kept changing, and whenever people asked me, I always had an answer. Right? And it's okay to change your plan. Maybe the plan you choose randomly will end up being your plan. This is what Proverbs write, right? Solomon, the most wisest man on earth, wrote kind of the book of Proverbs, which gives us wise advice for our life. And he says this, he says, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Right? So even in Proverbs, we see that this wise way of planning is actually good for our lives. Right? And so we see that God actually calls you to think and to plan ahead. Right? Because if we look at it biblically, we never drift into good things. Right? We never get into good things. Our relationship with God doesn't grow by us drifting into it and doing nothing. Right? We see these things but actually accomplishes by us taking steps forward, actually being wise about it, looking forward and being like, man, how can I best serve God with my life? And another thing to consider is that God gave you something to use. Every single one of us has different skills, right? Maybe you're good with people. Maybe you're good with numbers. Maybe you're good with words, right? God has given you that specific gift to be able to use, right? And so now you are in your kind of teenage years and you get to figure out what are these things that God has blessed me with that I am able to then go and provide for my family with, that you're able to then go serve God with, right? Outside of the church, right? For your everyday lives. And ultimately, another goal that we have is that for you to see that work is part of God's design. God created the world perfectly, right? If we look back into Genesis and we see that Adam and Eve worked, even before sin. So work isn't a sinful thing. It isn't a byproduct of sin falling into the world, but instead, God designed it to be this way. And one of the biggest things that people fall into is that your identity is not your job. Right? When you end up finding your career, whatever you end up doing for your life, that is not who you are. Right? Your identity is in Christ. Your job is a way that you're able to actually live that out and worship Him. And so even though this may seem like a gigantic thing, ultimately the job that you get will be a means for you to provide for yourself and to worship God. Your job is not who you are. But we are here to hopefully help you figure out what your skills you have, what you like, and to be able to use it for God's glory. And one of the kind of the prime passages as I was preparing for this comes from Matthew chapter 24, where Jesus gives this parable. So I'm going to read it through. It's a bit long, but I think it really paints the picture of what it means for us to use what God has given to us in terms of kind of our skills and our talents. This is what Jesus says. He says, again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last. Dividing into proportions similar to their abilities, he then left on his trip. The servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earn 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received the 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. After a long time, their master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used his money. The servant to whom he had entrusted the 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, 'Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more.' The master was full of praise. 'Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I'll give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together.' The servant who had received the 2 bags of silver came forward and said, 'Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more.' The master said, 'Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, and now I give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together.' And then the servant with the 1 bag of silver came and said, 'Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid you would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here is your money back.' But the master replied, 'You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it.' Then he ordered, 'Take the money from this servant, give it to the one with 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.'" Right? I think this is a great passage for us to really think and to look at our lives and go, man, I want to be the servant that takes what God has given to me and uses it well. Instead of the servant who God has given you so many talents, he's given you abilities, and you go and do nothing. Right? Me and Pawson were talking, the reason kind of this whole thing came together is that Pawson and I were starting to see that many more kids were graduating school and you had no idea what they wanted to do with their life. Who here right now goes, I don't know what I'm doing after I graduate? Right? At least kind of like half of us here, right? Kind of has no idea what they want to do. And some of you guys have a plan. Some of you guys, that plan won't happen and something else will happen. But the goal is to make sure that, man, we are planning wisely and making sure that we can actually worship God in this. And Ryan, we see that God gave you something to use. He gave you many things to be responsible for. And if we begin to actually think about it, this is applicable in the now. Right? God has given you abilities, time, energy, and opportunity. And if you ignore your gifts, you waste what God gave you. And if you use them, you honor him. And that applies right now. Right? God has given you abilities, right? He's given you a brain to think, to be able to actually begin to lay out your life and plan it well. And if you sit and do nothing and go, that's something I'll do later, you are doing nothing. One of the greatest ways to think about this is to go, man, if Jesus came back tonight, would his words echo with the words that we read in Matthew where it says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant"? Right? If God looks at your life right now, right, how you've done your schoolwork, right, how you work at home, and all these things, is God able to look at your life and go, "Well done, my good and faithful steward"? Or are you looking at your life as, "I'll get it together later. I'll start doing these important things later"? Right? It's right now that God has given us the time and the energy to be able to use it well. So we see that work is a part of God's design. Right? Work isn't punishment for us. It existed before sin. Work became hard because of sin, but God created Adam to work. Work has a purpose in our life. Your work isn't just about a paycheck, about your status, or what people think. It's ultimately about serving God. And if you view it that way, it changes everything. That means if you have a boring job, it still matters. If you have a hard boss at work that you don't like, right, you're still able to serve God in these things. And ultimately, we see that working hard honors God. If you are lazy in how you live, it says that you don't care. But if someone who works hard, who's a faithful worker, says, "Man, I want to honor God in this." If you've been coming to the classes on Wednesday, Pastor Allen, right, constantly talks about our bodies, right, not being ours, that we're actually stewarding them for God. And that means that applies to everything in our lives, our time, our energy. Man, are we being good stewards of that? Right, we talked about this, right? It looks like having a plan. We read this verse in Proverbs that says, "Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity." And so what kind of work fits your gifts? Right? If you look at the things that you are good at, what sort of things are you good at? What skills do you need to grow? Right? This is an important one. And Paulson will talk about this when he comes up and teaches us, right? You who are in high school now will soon get to pick certain courses and classes which will ultimately affect your time in university. And what steps can you take this year? Maybe it's applying for a job this year. Maybe you think, maybe not this year. Maybe it's just building a resume. Maybe it's learning a skill. Maybe it's actually talking to people of fields that you're interested in. Right? We talked about how you don't just drift into good things, right? God often guides you as you take steps. If you're doing it according to his will, you'll see that you'll find success in that, right? Because ultimately God guides your steps. And as you move forward through this, right, we talked about this, your identity is not your job. You're not going to be saved by your work. You're not going to be defined by your success. But ultimately, that your identity is in Christ. And those of us who are in Christ know that we have this great promise, that we have this hope in our future that, man, eventually the pain and suffering in this world will end and we get to be in eternity with Jesus. Why? Because he has saved us, washed away our sins. Right now, we can be rooted in Jesus. And now we see our job not as who we are, but instead about how I can serve Jesus. This is what Paul writes in Romans, a great and powerful verse. He says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for good of those that love him, who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. For God knew his people in advance, and he chose them to become like his son, so that his son would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. Right? We see that God has a good plan for us. And it's good according to God's purpose. And so we are called now to live faithfully, knowing that, man, our identity is in Jesus. And how do I serve him to the best of my ability? How do I not be lazy in my thinking or my actions? Right? This is what tonight's all about. To hopefully help you guys get focused on a career path or a track. Or maybe you have a career path and a track, and today you go, no, that's not it. Right? I always talk about it. I wanted to be an architect for like 3 years. Until I met a real architect and he told me what he did, and I was like, no, thank you. And I had to switch my whole career path because I finally understood what my actual job would have looked like, and I didn't like it. So maybe that's it for you today. As you listen, or maybe you'll get to go and ask questions at the end of the night. And so what does this look like put all together? Right? Is that God gave you abilities, and so you have to use them. Your work is worship. You do it all for him. Hard work ultimately reflects your heart. Planning shows wisdom, and your identity is in Christ. And so we're hoping to kind of really put this idea of, man, we are Christians, we are called to live wisely for God's glory. And now what does that look like for you? And a great question, and you know I always finish with a question, so you know you're near the end, is what are you doing with what God gave you? If you look at your life, the things that you like, the things that you are good at, what are you doing with those skills? Right? Because this is super important. A lot of people that I grew up with when I was in the youth group, the people that I hung out with, a lot of them went to university. I knew someone that was going to become a veterinarian. And so I think that's like 7 years of school. She did 6 years, got married, never finished her degree, never went to work. And I think last time I heard, she had about $50,000 worth of student debt. Right? So like she didn't plan accordingly. She just kind of was like, oh, everyone goes to school, therefore I'm just going to go to school and do this thing. What is your plan, right? For girls, man, do you want to be stay-at-home moms? That might affect the outcome of what career path you choose. Right? Do you want to go to school for 8 years? Right? If you want to be a doctor, it's a lot of school. And so hopefully, right, we're beginning to think of what has God given me? What desires has he given me? What things am I good at? How can I honor him with that? And so hopefully this kind of begins to shape how we frame. And Paulson's going to come up now and share a bit more of what it looks like after you graduate high school. Specifically, he's going to share kind of a about university and about college, kind of the differences between that, maybe kind of what applying looks to that, what you need in high school to get into certain courses. And so I'm going to let him kind of come up and present about that. And after Poston's done, then we're going to kind of start getting into the more fun stuff of different people's careers. Here you go, Poston.
Did you want your... All right. Hello. Good evening, everybody. So, yeah, I'm going to mainly talk about post-secondary school, which is anything after high school in terms of schooling. So first off, I want to preface that everyone's experience of post-secondary is completely different, okay? So make sure, like really the point of my part is to give you guys enough material and enough curiosity to know what to ask about with all the people who came here, right? So, because everybody kind of went through it differently, made different decisions, had different programs, I tried to be like, I wonder what program, there's too many. There was too many things, and that's just gonna look boring, and that's not what I'm gonna do, okay? I'm gonna do that a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna share my experiences and just what's available, what are some of the available things for post-secondary here in Winnipeg. So yeah, I'm just gonna scratch the surface to really just give you this jump start. The first thing people might be asking is, what's the difference between university and college, right? So I really only went to university. I've never even looked at college, so I had to really look at this too, like what really is the biggest difference? And it's really just the area of study, like what kind of things are available there. So university is more focused on academics, theory, research-based studies. It's getting a degree, so you're getting like a bachelor's of science or an art or other kind of like, there's like geography and stuff like that, right? So it's like more academic stuff. And college focuses more on the practical, hands-on, career-specific training. And then the differences of what you kind of end up with in those is, so a diploma is 2 years and it's for a specific field. A certificate is like, some are 6 months, some are a year, and it's for a specific job. So an example of that would be all of the educational assistants you guys have at school, right? So those people have EA certificates. So I think it's, depending on the school, it's between 6 to a year. 6 months to a year for that job. So it's very specific for that job. There's no other things you can do when you get that certificates. And then a degree goes from 3 to 4 years, and really just depending on how much time you take, that's how long it's gonna be. So either way, the colors are weird here. What do you need to be prepared is really what my focus is on. Because there is a huge jump between grade 12 and first year university. And the reason why dropout rates are high is because a lot of people kind of get surprised of how different it actually is, and really how difficult it is. Because as some of you guys might know, I work at a high school. You might think, oh, grade 12, you know, things are a little bit harder nowadays, but there's still a lot of hand-holding going on, right? There's still a lot of like, hey guys, your assignments are due next week, or there's a test tomorrow, or whatever. There's that, right? And so the first thing for post-secondary is study skills. It's very much independent studies. So how it works is your first day of university or college, you get a syllabus, which is basically like a course outline. It talks about the course, and then it talks about all of the assignments and when they're due, and then that's it. There's crazy people who finish their assignments like a month before. And then there's people like me who finish it last night, right? So, but like, again, there is no accountability except your own, or maybe some classmates you get to know, right? But it's very much, you gotta figure that out yourself. So if you're the kind of person who still very much relies on your teacher reminding you stuff, because there's never been once a professor that told me, hey guys, tomorrow your paper is due. Never. It was just that day, you come to class, you drop your paper off, you sit down, and then class starts again. Like there's even that, right? And then you also lose marks when you bring it late, okay? The second, and you guys can ask me about this, right? I work with high school students. A lot of the times when people, I'm hoping more people come to me when you're struggling with school. That's kind of like my job to help you. And I'm not going to pretend I know grade 12 physics, but I will try my best. But, so you guys can ask me about this, right? The hard part is a lot of people just don't realize they just need to figure out how they study. The second thing is commitment. Post-secondary is going to be hard. And you're going to need to juggle. It's not even about the school part, but it's like you might be working and you might be at school and you're serving at church, right? One thing for me, and one thing I tell people a lot, is that, you know, one thing I made sure I didn't do was to serve less while I was in school at church. I still served where I served, and, you know, some days I was tired, but that's just how it is, right? And another thing is that just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not for you. Okay, just because it's like, oh man, I did real bad on this assignment, clearly this thing is not for me, right? It might be, but that's not always the case. And it's all about really being resilient and pushing through these challenges, right? And again, I talk to you guys, and I know this because I work there. High school right now is way easier than post-secondary, okay? And the thing is, this is just like a teacher talk. A lot of the times, as much as we try not to, just because things are getting a little bit harder for students, we try to help them more. So it's the bad part about that is we're not readying people to post-secondary. So it's just one of those things that we just learn to really push through these challenges. And the third one is that priorities. It's not a choice between God and school. It's not that, like I said, I'm not going to drop my church responsibilities because I'm in school. Or, you know, oh, guys, I have to study today. I have a test, so I can't, right? It's not. It's not between that or the other, right? Glorifying God and serving others is done through your life. And at that point, if that's what you choose to, at that point, school is part of your life. So it's part of your serving and glorifying God. So whatever it is you're doing, that's what you're serving God. So post-secondary skills. So I'm just going to go through this quickly. Again, how you learn. You need to figure out how you study for a test. How do you understand information? How do you take notes? So an example for me is I like to write. And so the way I study is I just rewrite my chicken scratch notes, and then that's it. I memorize a lot of the things that I write, and then that's it. That's how I study, right? Some people might be different, okay? So some of you guys might know Lauren Zilke, right? One of the things she was struggling with was how she studied. But I don't know if any of you guys were here, but during Zoom Youth, during COVID times, we always made fun of her because she's got a big whiteboard in the back with a bunch of stuff on it. And I said, why don't you do your notes on your whiteboards? She's like, wow, that actually makes sense. And then I don't know if she still does that, but that's just one of those things. Organization. You need to organize your things. How do you organize your assignments, your study time, your non-school responsibilities? How do you organize your thoughts? Okay, so when I am writing an essay, which I did a lot because I have a degree in English, so all of my things were just papers, I literally just paced around my house talking to myself and then go back and sit down, write down what I wrote, and then do that again. That's how I organized my thoughts. I looked crazy, but it worked. And then resource. All right, AI is huge. How many of your teachers are telling you not to use those? Who's actually using them? Eden. Okay, so the thing about that is, as much as your teachers and myself are trying to be like, no, that's bad. That's where the world is going, right? But the main thing is using it correctly. Okay, most students use AI to do the work for them. That's the problem. Okay, but like any resource, okay, just like all of these people who came tonight are resources, you need to know what you're looking for and how to know it's good. When AI gives you an answer, you need to figure out what it says is good, so you need to know. You just, right? So as you're asking people for as their resource, right? My job tonight is to help you figure out what you're looking for, okay? And again, ask me about any of these. Just quickly, I'm not gonna go through this whole thing. U of W have different programs. Both U of W and U of M have undergraduate programs, which works towards a degree. I was looking into U of W stuff. There is co-op programs, which is where you are working and you are studying that type of work at the same time. So it's actual paid job. So you need to go get a job for that field and then study at the same time. One thing I will say about U of W, U of M, any kind of post-secondary, is if it comes with any kind of practicum or internship or work experience, that's a huge thing, okay? It builds connections. There is I'm gonna make up a number, 85% chance that place is going to hire you, because that is basically an interview, right? And then that percentage lowers depending on how well you do. But I have here really, really small, this is kind of like resources they have to make connections with them. So you call people, you can visit, you can book an appointment to see an advisor, a guidance counselor kind of thing. Red River has many specific jobs. So when you go to the website, you actually get to pick a field and then it breaks down to different jobs. One thing I will do while part of the Q&A is I brought my iPad. If you want to come sit down with me and go through these websites, we can do that, right? And kind of I'll help you, guide you through like maybe what you're looking for. So U of M is basically the same. Red River is like, yeah, business, trades. IT is like computers, culinary, stuff like that. So things to consider. Start thinking about your prerequisites. I had asked my coworker, who is a guidance counselor, I said, what is the main thing you need everyone to know? She said, prerequisites. Some of you guys are in grade 9, 10. Grade 11 and 12 is really where they start to really matter, because that is what post-secondary looks for, and some of them very specific grades. One big one right now was medical radiology, so people who do x-rays. They just added grade 12 physics into the program. And so those are the things you need to know. It's like, oh, I want to do this job, but do I like physics? Which is architecture, right, Pastor Andrew? So that's the kind of thing that you need to really pay attention to. So my advice, as much as it is like, oh, I'll take fun classes, fun, easy classes, know that 11 and 12, you need to start thinking and having that plan, right? Because if you don't, it's not that you can't anymore. You get to go to adult ed or whatever. But the thing is, that adds time and that adds money, right? And so, you know, things to really consider. The other one is tuition fees. Post-secondary costs money, depending on your program. I wasn't in a science program, but I know it costs more because you have to do labs and play with science stuff. So I average around $3,000 to $4,000. Currently, right now, I am in university taking a course. And how it works is that term 1, so winter term or fall term, is September to December, And all of the extra fees for university is there. Gym memberships for some reason, bus pass, insurance, all that stuff is there. So even though my one class was $500, it cost me $1,000. But the second term, none of those fees are there anymore, so I just paid $500 for the other class. So those are the kinds of things to also think about. There are scholarships and student loans and all that things to add. I know both U of M and U of W, if you apply early enough, I think in March, which is right now, they will look at your top 3 grade 12 courses, and depending on your average, you get money for that. So they looked at my grade 12, whatever it was, it took away around, I think, $1,200, right? So just depending on your grades. Ask your guidance. And if you guys feel like your guidance counselor is not helpful, it's probably because you're not asking the right questions. So come with them with, like, hey, I looked into this. Can you tell me about it? Then they can help you. Because if you just go, I don't know what I'm doing, that's going to be a hard thing to help you with. Another thing, full-time or part-time, are you going to go to work and school at the same time? How many classes can you handle? I worked at the same time, not a full-time job. I worked at daycare, and so I never took more than 4 classes per term. That was also an advice my brother gave me. He said, don't take full courses because you'll lose your mind, and you'd rather take it slow and pass all your courses than take a bunch and fail some of them. And last thing, post-secondary isn't about something you're dreaming of doing. It's all about what you're willing to work hard for. I don't have time to tell you how I chose to be a teacher, but basically I decided when I saw my guidance counselor. It was never a thing. I was going to get into journalism, and I hated school presentations, and now I get paid for it. And at the end of the day, the goal is to be used by God, like Pastor Andrew said. So go ask questions, hear people's stories. Everyone has a story to share and advice to give. Research your paths, and most importantly, pray about it and seek God in all of your decision. Matthew 6:33, Pastor Allen talks about it all the time. Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. So I'll see you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Poston. So now you get to hear from people in actual jobs and what they do. So I'm going to have Ryan Smith come up, and he's going to share a bit about being a crane operator. So he's in kind of a job where he gets to go to different locations, work with his hands a lot, and he's going to kind of share a bit more about that. So Ryan, here you go. You can take it away.
Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. All right, so really happy to do this, and as you can see, I lift things up and I put some down. So yeah, some of you may not know, I'm Allie's dad, and she's not this Allie Smith, and yeah, so I was really happy to be able to do this with you guys today, and I just wanted to start off by showing you some cool machines. So, and to tell you a little bit about the difference about each machine. There's 2 classifications of crane. There's mobile cranes and there's tower cranes. So this is one of the smallest versions of a mobile crane. This is called a carry deck. That's the bigger picture here. And this crane typically, it can't lift as much as the bigger cranes, but the cool thing is that it can pick something up, it can set it on its own platform and carry it to somewhere else and then lift it up and set it down. This is a larger mobile crane. Actually, this one has a varying capacity, but they can typically go up to about 180 tons. That's the maximum that it can lift, and it's again, a mobile crane because it can pack up and move around the city to wherever you need it to be. This is a rough terrain crane. This one is kind of cool because it can pick up items and then move around. It has four-wheel drive. It can move around a site in various rough conditions and set down the items in different places on a roof or wherever you might need it to be. This is a tower crane. So these are the ones you'll see around the city putting up buildings. This is a specialty branch of craning. So basically, as you get into your apprenticeship, which I'll talk more about, after the first year, you'd want to decide which way you're going to go. Tower craning is super cool if you like heights. And you could be on a job site for 6 months, a year, and typically with tower craning is you want to be willing to travel. So they might use you anywhere in North America. You might have a job in Toronto or Florida, and you could be up putting up a skyscraper for like I said, a year, even longer. Pays very well, but you'd have to be willing to go where the work is. I want to be home, so I chose the mobile crane avenue so that I could basically go out for the day, do what they call taxi work, which is a customer calls and they say that we need this size crane to do this amount of work for a period of time. It could be a few hours. It could be for the day. It could be for a week or two. We could be on one site. These are boom trucks. So as you can see, it's a semi chassis, and this boom retracts and it sits on its own chassis there. And the company I started off with is Mr. Boom Truck, and they specialized in boom trucks, as the name suggests. And so these are typically smaller capacity cranes. And again, the cool thing is the versatility of it is that you can haul freight on the deck, pick up off itself. You don't need a separate truck to bring things to site. This is just super cool because it's the largest crane in the world. So this is a Mammut, and this crane can lift 7 million pounds. So these, it's similar to a tower crane in that it's not mobile. Like you have to take this apart. It comes on several flat deck trailers, and it stays on its own footprint. So it just moves on these tracks in a circle. And the counterweights, which every crane needs to have, these counterweights, these are 40-foot sea cans, 40-foot containers. There's 35 of them, and they're filled with sand. So they weigh approximately 250,000 pounds each. So the counterweights combined are somewhere in the ballpark of 8 million pounds, 8.5 million pounds. This is just super cool. So you could operate this if you're a tower crane operator or a mobile crane operator. And I just wanted to show you guys that because it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So as you know, I'm a crane operator. I lift things up and I put them down. And it's a typical day for me would look, it's very different all the time, which is one of the things I find really appealing about it. But a typical day could be, starting at 5 in the morning, could be starting at 7 in the morning. I might be sent to a specific site where there's a crane already set up. I might have to go to our shop and pick up a crane and take it somewhere, sometimes out of town. There might be some surrounding areas. I've done jobs in Lac du Bonnet or Winkler. And typically what we do is we service the construction industry. So I'll be setting up, we'll be taken the steel beams that make up a building's frame or structure, and we'll be setting those up. And so I'll kind of lift it off the ground, swing it over into position, and the guys will weld it or fasten it. And then we haul these giant pieces of cement called hollow core, and we'll swing those up and set them down. And these make up the floors of an apartment block. Some days I'm hauling. So like today, for example, we're doing bridge girders. So we need a remote control trailer to haul the back of the bridge girder, and then we have a trailer hooked up to the tractor at the front. And the entire unit is 196 feet. And so on Monday, starting at 3 in the morning, we'll have police escort, and they'll shut down intersections for us, and we'll basically have to slowly move it out onto the road and get a remote control operator to position it for us. And one of the cool things about that is these are 280 tons. So we'll use a 300-ton crane, and we'll haul them to the bridge that's being built. We'll back them into position, and then the crane will hook up to it and swing it into position. It's just super cool stuff. That's why I like it. I like being outside, and that's what makes my job interesting, is that every day is a little bit different. Every day is a new challenge. I mean, I'm always lifting something up and putting it down, but it's always a little bit different. Sometimes we have to do the math on an object if we don't know exactly how much something weighs. We have a calculation for every type of material that's out there. We might have a strange chunk of concrete that's got rebar in it. We have a calculation for how much that weighs per square foot, and we'll measure it in sections and then do the math on how much it weighs. And then we'll look at a chart for the crane and see how far the crane can lift it away from itself within its safe capacity before it tips or breaks. And so that challenge is really cool. I was just doing a lift the other day where I basically had to take the crane right to its capacity, and I could kind of feel the tail end of it, getting a little light, little teetering action. I'm a bit of a sicko, so getting that knot in my stomach, getting some adrenaline, knowing that one wrong move and I can destroy a bunch of stuff and kill people is but then doing it safely, right? Like setting things down in a safe manner, and having that satisfaction of walking away and saying, yeah, I did that. I hoisted that up and did it safely and successfully. And there's something really satisfying about having a successful day every day. So that's part of the reason that I picked this job. Actually, one of my first jobs was with a courier company they used what's called a knuckle boom. And you might have seen these on the back of trucks where it actually folds up like a knuckle on the back on the chassis. And I was delivering building materials. So I would take loads of like bundles of lumber or drywall, and I would take them to a site, and I would lift it into someone's backyard, and I just found it really cool. It was like playing with a big toy, right? It kind of reminded me of being a kid in the sandbox playing with Tonka trucks, and I like being outside. So I could never see myself sitting in an office all day. That was just me. I like being outside. I like a new challenge. I like a change of scenery, and so that's why I decided to get into my particular job. How you would get into being a crane operator is a really good first step would be your Class 1 license. So typically it's about $10,000 to get that, but there are funding options through the government. And that would be a really good asset. It would make a crane company look at you more seriously. And then would be a matter of applying to a crane company and telling them that you're interested in becoming a crane operator. And what they would do is they would bring you on for 6 months, and make sure you're a good fit for them. Make sure that you show up every day and that they want to keep you. And then they would sign you up as an apprentice. So it is a Red Seal trade. So you would have 3 levels of apprenticeship. You would go to Red River has a site called Operating Engineer Training Institute. You would go for 4 weeks out of the year. I'll be going on April 7th for 4 weeks, and you'll go, and they'll basically teach you all of the classroom stuff, the physics behind the machine, and all of the math that's involved, and all the components of the crane, and then you'll do some hands-on crane operating. And so you need 1,800 hours per level, and then once you get to level 4, you would just challenge the Red Seal test. Journeyman's, I brought the, just so you have an idea. A new journeyman makes $59 an hour, and a tower and climbing crane operators make $68.48, and 200 to 300 ton cranes, which are the ones you'll see around the city. They have tracks. They put up the large apartment blocks. They make $68.48 an hour as well. It's about $130,000 a year, just doing full-time 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Home every night kind of thing. So it's one thing that I like about the trades is that you can start right after high school. You're not going into debt to pay for it. You're earning money basically right off the hop. And if you like working with your hands, if you like a challenge, if you're thinking about being a business owner one day, that might be the direction for you to go. So this is one of the many trades that you can get into. The company that I work for, Phoenix, is they also do iron work, which is a union trade, and welding. We do a lot of welding with our building erection. So, anyways, that's me, and that's what I do. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ryan. The next person we have up for you is David Carroll. So David works in hospitals, but he's not a nurse or a doctor. So he's going to talk about his job and various other jobs in the hospital as well that aren't nurses or doctors, right? So there's tons of other jobs in hospitals that require less schooling and could be interesting too. So I'm going to give it to David Carroll.
Well, thanks. Not much for public speaking, actually. I hate it, but I'd like to talk to you tonight anyway. So I'll start with some scripture. Why not? Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenants, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today." So it pertains to the Jewish people, but the first half pertains to all of us. The opportunities you've been given, the skills you've been given in your future especially, are given by God. So you need to exercise them, of course. So my job, orthopedic technologist, I actually have the best job, actually. It's a really good job. Is a specialized healthcare professional who works under a physician, more often an orthopedic surgeon. So I'm the orthopedic surgeon, right-hand man. I know what they want, when they want, work with them to put on casts, splints, orthopedic appliances. We do wound care, quite a bit of wound care, and one of our specialties is diabetic foot wound care, which is quite a serious thing to do. So where I would work is an emergency room, clinics. I work in quite a few clinics, general hospital, operating room, all kinds of places. The organization is called that I am educated with, is the Canadian Society of Orthopedic Technologists. So there's like one job, there's one school in Ontario, but all the hospitals hire people from the CSOT. So even the school doesn't rate. Everybody wants that designation. It's really a great opportunity. I started out in healthcare as an orderly and then like a nurse's aide, and I got this opportunity. So it's like an apprenticeship, on-the-job training. So instead of having to go to school and get educated, I challenged an exam. People taught me how to do the work, and I challenge an exam when I pass, and then I do this job. Unfortunately, it's a hard place to get into. There's probably 30 or 40 of us in Manitoba, and a lot of people keep those jobs for a long time. So it's just opportunity. God gave me opportunity, and I was able to get into this work, and it's fantastic. Deal with a lot of people with pain. You break a bone, you have wounds, so on, and you're working with people, so you better be good. If you want to be touching people where they hurt, we put bones back in place. We do all kinds of stuff with the doctors, and so the usual day, how we go about our work. Right now, I'm kind of semi-retired. I work in health science, Misericordia, and I work in the PAW, Manitoba. They fly me up there twice a month for 2 days, and I work with a doctor up there. So I do all the x-rays. If you need an x-ray, I will write up all the x-rays for everybody that's coming. Again, everything I can do to make the doctor just walk in the room. Your wound is open and ready to be seen. Your cast is off. Your x-rays are on the screen. I do everything. So it's a privilege to work with those guys. And there's a lot of autonomy. I make the same decision as the doctor would do. So the doctor doesn't even have to be there. I carry out a lot of the things without asking, but I never do what the doctor wouldn't do. So it's that kind of experience. So it's a difficult place to get into, but I wanted to tell you about jobs you can get into in healthcare. A lot of people think doctors, nurses are in hospitals. Of course they are, but they're supported by a whole bunch of other people. So my union, Manitoba Allied Healthcare Professionals, I'm just going to give you a quick list. They have diagnostic imaging, radiology, MRI, nuclear medicine, laboratory, ultrasound, physiotherapy, cardiology, orthotics, dental, dietetics, pharmacy, paramedicine, respiratory therapy, biomedical, audiology, speech therapy. So there's lots of professionals in hospitals that pay very well. You can have a great life working in these fields, but not everybody gets higher education. Most of those are 2 to 4 years of education. But looking at hospitals, I could also say to you, there's other jobs that are different levels of education: nurses' aides, unit clerks, material handling, dietary aid, housekeeping, medical records, security. It's a good job. All these jobs, they can give you the ability to feed your family, take care of your lives, pension at the end, which is advisable. And so it kind of make you think about those things. Yeah, and it's like I'm not very educated in school. I really wasn't. I didn't like school. So, and that's okay, because you still have skills that you have to keep working on. So for me, I was always willing to work and do all kinds of things. So I actually walked by Misericordia. I trained to be a bricklayer of all things. And I don't really like bricklaying. So it didn't work out. But keep trying things, keep doing things. In the old days, you'd have the newspapers, and you wouldn't have many job ads in them. So you go with your feet and walk and knock on doors. God really led me to Misericordia, where I got hired. And I was walking by the hospital. I thought, I'm a caring person. I can care for people. I think God placed that in my head. So I went in and got a job as like an orderly. And like half the time I have the orthopedic technology now. That's a very good job, and I've enjoyed it for many years. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dave. And next we have Audrey, or Allie, coming up to talk about her job. To talk about her job as a dental hygienist. And then, and so not all the adults who are here are going to be speaking today. And so there'll be some, I'll tell you all about them at the end of the thing that you can go and ask various questions about. But Allie, you can talk about your job.
Hi, everybody. People know me as Allie through the years, but Audrey sounded professional when I was moving into the field. But how many of you have been to the dentist? Yeah? Okay. How many of you have seen the tooth cleaning lady? Yeah? Okay, well, that's what a dental hygienist is. So if you don't know and you say, oh, I gotta get my tooth cleaned by this lady or this man, that's a dental hygienist. So that's what I do. I work, it is also part of the the medical field, if you didn't know. I got two little rascals here, which is fine. So a dental hygienist, what is your job? Let's go with that, sure. So a dental hygienist is obviously preventative care for your oral health. And really, really, really important to make sure that your teeth and your oral health is good. So brush your teeth and floss your teeth. It works. Because it also leads to, obviously, all the parts of the body. And how I get into it is because I actually had braces when I was younger. How many of you guys did? And you're like, this is so fun to be having braces? No? Yeah? Did you like your... Oh, just kidding. Don't go based on that. But I actually really do love enjoying going to the dentist and having to pick my colors and stuff like that for my braces. And I thought it was really cool. You are distracting, my lady. Dad, why'd you get them to come on? Just kidding. Anyways, so I enjoyed doing that, and I thought, okay, well, this is great. Like, I want to be one of these people, but I didn't know that there's actually like dental assistant that you can also do, which is like 10 months, and it's still in the dental field. It gets your feet a little wet in the dental field. Emily used to be a dental assistant, which helps the dentist do their procedures. With dental hygienists, it's a little bit more, you have your own autonomy to make decisions, kind of, I guess. You treat your own patients. And then the dentist will just come in to check like for cavities and stuff like that. So, but if you like to do like different things every day or different procedures, then dental assistant is really good because shorter education for them. Shorter education for dental assisting, sometimes I think now 10 months, even that. And then you go into a practicum, and then you can work with the dentist alongside a dentist, and you get to learn all about the procedures about the dental appointments. Baby, can I talk? Thank you. So a dental hygienist, you pretty much do everything that you need to do in the whole entire appointment. What made you pick your job? Well, I kind of answered that, I guess. Wait, was that? Wait, I'm so confused. Am I reading? Wait. Oh, that was interesting about your job. I was like on the next slide over. Whoops. I'm confused. What is interesting about your job? Well, yeah, like actually through the years, I've been working in different sections of dentistry. So in Ontario, in Toronto, where I did my studies, that's another thing, you guys, prerequisites, Poston was talking about, very, very important. If you do not know what field you want to go into, but it's like kind of in the medical field, but you don't know exactly, please take all your sciences. So bio, chemistry, and physics. That opens a lot of doors for you guys in terms of classes you can get into if you have all of those things already. Baby, can you go down? Thank you. Say bye, everybody. Perfect. Their names are Adeline and Laura. They're not ready for work yet. Anyways, So, prereq. Yes. You want something? I have 7 minutes. Look, 2 minutes. So, yeah, so for schoolings, just take bio, chemistry, and physics. It will open up all your doors to medical field, if that's what you want. There's different routes in terms of dental hygienist. You can, if your grades are really good, you can get into the University of Manitoba program right off the bat. But your high school grade needs to be good, so it's called a direct entry. And they only really pick like 25 students in a year. So that's, and then you can take your University 1 courses and then try to apply. Some schools out there are private colleges out there, but you would have to be willing to relocate, because that would be like in Toronto or Vancouver, or that's where I went, to Toronto. First of all, no, I'm not going to tell you, but Toronto College of Dental Hygiene actually does say prefer to have university courses, but not necessarily are required. Vancouver you need to have your first year courses in order for you to get accepted into the program. But there's a lot of private programs now in Ontario that hires hygienists. They are still in demand now. I don't know when you graduate if it still will be in demand, but they are definitely super in demand now. What made you pick your job? Like I said, I really love going to the dentist, and I thought this is great. Like, I actually also felt like I had a relationship with my provider. Like, we would talk about other things, not just teeth. So if you are seen in my chair, just know that we actually will be talking the whole entire time. Just kidding. But I'm not just a tooth cleaner. Sometimes people see us as therapists because they just talk about all their problems all day, which is fine. So really talking about relationships, and that's the other thing that I really like, is continuing care. Like, if I continue to see you in my chair and we create this relationship through a time that only I know, because I'm the only person you tell. So it's kind of cool how to be updated about everybody's life, and I'm such a people person that I just, I guess when I was a kid, I was like, well, what job can I do that I'll still be able to create relationships with people? And this is the job that God has led me to and I prayed for. Now, the other cool thing is that I through the years, I just wanted to quickly share, as a dental hygienist, you can also do, you're kind of independent in a sense. So through the last couple of years, I've created this program, or this own business model of mine, where I go into nursing homes to care for the elderly. So that I've turned into kind of like a business of your own, where I go into the facilities of the care homes and provide care to the people that can't normally come out of the nursing homes to be seen at a regular dental office. So there's a lot of ways, I guess, a lot of also venues to do as a dental hygienist. You don't need to just be working at a dental office. I know my time's up. 2 more seconds, please. Just because I had distractions. But anyways, as a dental hygienist, you could also work in different sectors of the dental field. Like, there's always sales that you can get into. There's teaching that you can get into. There's also, specialty offices that you can get into. So it's not just what you see in your dental office, a hygienist. That's the only job, quote unquote, that you have. But there's different venues where you can use your license to work out of, if that makes sense. And it kind of helps that pay is actually really good. It's up to subpar with what nurses are. You're like, so if you're thinking, I need to make money, I gotta be a nurse, there's other things that actually make just as good of a money, if you're thinking about that. But not everything is about money, guys. So you gotta make sure you're happy.
Awesome. And next I'll get Byron to come up and talk about being a mechanic and what that looks like.
All right. As Pastor Andrew mentioned, my name is Byron Hoban, and what is my job? Well, I ask myself that every day. I don't know what my job entails. There's all sorts of struggles and things that come up. What I do is I'm an auto mechanic. That's my role, and with that comes all sorts of different trials. It could be a brake job, could be suspension, could be engine rattle, could be a squeaky belt, it could be a smashed window, all sorts of stuff. So those are the kind of things I deal with on a daily basis. What's interesting about my job is every day is something new, and I get to work with my hands, I get to work with my mind, I get to figure out a problem, figure out that solution, and fix it. What made me pick my job? Well, I didn't really pick it. I'm pardon? It picked me. I'm third generation auto mechanic. We own a small little service station up Logan Avenue here, and my grandfather started in the '60s, and my dad worked for him, and I worked for my dad. So I was more born into it than picking that as a career. Am I a slide ahead here? Oh, that's Ben. That's too early. Let's go back a bit. Yeah, let's pull out some notes. Sorry, guys, I'm not the best with computers. Yeah, so to get into automotives, there's all sorts of different branches you can do. There's working on anything mechanical, like a pedal bike, for instance. If you get a flat tire, your chain falls off, or working on cars like I do, for instance, with things that break down. You can get into fixing airplanes, for instance, or heavy-duty mechanics, and work on cranes like what Ryan breaks on tractors, dump trucks. There's all sorts of things. For education, there's a high school program, a 4-year, that's sort of a little introduction to it. It gets you into lawnmowers and snow blowers and basic how an engine works. Excuse me. And then after that, the post-secondary is college. There's a 4-year term that you can take, and that'll determine where you go in your career. Like first year might be oil changes and tire repairs. Second year will be more of tune-ups and brakes and suspension. And the third year will be diagnosing the electrical issues. Maybe a motor swap in the fourth year. You'll oversee it all. You can get into management or foreman of that. Of course, as you grow, that'll determine your salary. So, excuse me. I just love it because there's a pride that goes with it. Being able to fix something and being able to have that on my heart that I helped that family out to get them back on the road. It really means the world to me. So, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you guys. It's if it's mechanic and it breaks, we fix it. Sometimes you got to use your head and use your mind. It's a fabrication at times. You can get metal, you can heat it up with metal, bend it over and grind it and drill it and cut your finger and go see David. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, things break, I fix it. So if you got any questions, come see me after, and I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Byron. Okay, Ben, I believe you're up next. So Ben's job is connected to Byron's. He's a parts technician. Now, I don't really know what that means. I guess he'll explain.
Yeah, so I'm Ben. I'm a parts technician, and what's interesting about my job is I'm the opposite of Byron. Where did he go? Wherever he went. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the opposite of Byron. I'm more of like computer, online catalog. So anything that he is looking for, like parts-wise, he comes to me, and I help him get everything that he needs to complete that job, so that he can get that car back on the road without having any other issues. And whether it be from another dealership or a third company party, to complete the job. that's where I'm getting the parts from. What's interesting about my job is I deal with a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So, like answering phone calls, emails. I'm sort of like the administrative side of what Byron does so that he doesn't have to deal with it. Um, that's basically it. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Why I picked it? It's because I. This is gonna bring up my age, but uh, early 2000, Fast and Furious. Anyone know Fast and Furious? Yeah. So I wanted to be a mechanic and get into like doing the modding of the cars and stuff. And when I actually got into the industry, I was like, this is a lie. This is not what you actually do. And you're doing a lot of um, brake jobs and oil changes and stuff like that. And your body's getting all beat up and stuff. No offense. And so I didn't want to do that. My body's already beaten up from playing competitive volleyball. And so I wanted to stick with the automotive industry, so I branched out into being a parts advisor. Um, Same thing with Byron. How you get into the field is it's hands-on. Um, Being a parts advisor, it's sort of like a dying trade per se, because not a lot of people want to train, or you sort of get thrown into the deep end, and you have to figure it out yourself where the parts are located in the online catalog. And I went to school for it in Toronto. That's where I'm born, and that's how I got like the basics of how a car operates and where parts are and all that stuff. But yeah, if you're interested on how a car operates, you can either see Byron or myself, and we can definitely help you out with that.
Thank you very much, Ben. And next up, we have Denny. So Denny's in finance, and I've asked him a few times what that means or what he does, and he's explained it to me, and I never quite understand. So maybe maybe this time it'll help.
Okay, I'm not going to follow those questions. I'm just going to talk. Actually, I got three different careers. Okay, when I graduated from university, I spent 2 years doing accounting, and I worked for a chartered accounting firm at that time. It was my first job. I'm pretty green at it, so I mostly just did whatever they tell me to do, right? To do a bank reconciliation. They'll take me on to do an audit. What's the clock for? I got 3, so times 3. No, I'll make it quick. So education, you need either a Red River certificate or university degree to get into accounting. The entry level is usually bookkeeping, but once you start doing that for a while, you could branch out to different things. You could get into payroll. You could work for an accounting firm or start your own accounting firm. Income tax. You could do income tax returns. You could do audits, like be auditors and go audit businesses. Okay. Okay, so after 2 years, I went back into what my degree is, which is in computer science. So that's in IT. I worked for Air Canada for a number of years. So my job was to maintain certain an area of programs. So we change the programs if there's problems, or if there's any modification, we go in there and change it and test it and make sure everything's good before we release it. That was my first job, and then from then on, once you learn more, it's like anything. You get your foot in the door, you work hard, learn as much as you can, then you could go into different areas. So in IT, it's not just about programming. Sometimes you could work in the database area. That's the area where it keeps all the data. So you got to maintain that part. There's hardware. That's all the computers itself that you work with, rather than programming. Programming is more software, making things work. Hardware is more the computer, the hardware itself. There's networking. Networking is more like if you have a lot of computer, networking is more how to make all the computers talk to each other, right? How to get information from the internet. AI is big nowadays. So there's a lot of company out there trying to, how do we incorporate AI into our business so we can make money, right? So, and then there's security. Security is big too. That's to make sure your system is safe, so nobody could hack into your system to do harm. And I don't know, I put down disaster recovery. That was big in my days, but that was a long time ago. Everything changed. IT changes a lot fast. Back in the days, there's something called disaster recovery. Okay, so for example, if Air Canada, if something happened to the Air Canada building downtown, we have a recovery site in New York. So we move all the tape, all the big datas. We have a jet, we fly to New York, and we bring everything back up in New York. So everything we cover in New York, so business go on as usual, right? But now technology changed so much, everything's a lot smaller. So it's a lot easier to transfer data now. So I don't know how much, if that is still a job, right? There's also something called business analysts in IT. So what they do is they're not really programmers. They have a good understanding on how the business work, and they have a good understanding how IT work. So they're the people that, if there's some changes that require, they're the people that talk to the business people, find out what they need, and then they'll come back and talk to the IT people so they know what to do to fix it. So once they fix it, the IT to do the initial testing, and then once they're done, then the business analysts to do the final testing because they know the whole business, right? And then before they releasing live. So that's IT. Education, there's programs in Red River and in university. Like everything else, once you finish post-secondary, okay, when I first graduated, I was so happy. I said to myself, no more tests, no more exams, yippee, right? But life is a constant learning. Accounting, you could take courses to get your CPA. IT, you have to stay on top of things because everything changes so fast. So you have to keep educating yourself. So the third thing is what I'm doing. The third career is what I'm doing now. I'm a financial advisor. I work for Investors Group. What I do is I help people to understand all the all the tools out there for investment that the government give you, like what is an RSP, what is an RESP, what is a first home savings account, and so on. So there's rules behind each one of this, so I'll try to explain, try to help people understand what that is. I also try to make sure people understand how CPP work and how OAS work, right? And then I'm also a planner. So what I do is I sit down with people and figure out, okay, what do you need to retire? And then we come up with a plan to see how we get you there, okay? A plan is like the 9 habits, right? You know it, but you gotta do it, right? If you don't do it, right, it's off or not. Education-wise, companies out there is like the banks. The banks have financial advisors. There's independent company that has financial advisors. Even insurance company have them. So they're all over. There's also a lot of brokerage firm. What they are is they're buy and sell stocks for you, right? So there's a lot of those. There's a big field. To get into it, most company would want some kind of post-secondary degree or certificate. But in order for you to do the business, you have to get licensed. Okay, you have to get a mutual fund license, or you got to have a license to sell stocks, buy and sell stocks. If you get into life insurance, you need a license to do that too. So you got to take courses to pass to get the license, and every year you have to have so many credit hours to maintain your license. So it's just a constant learning part. What's rewarding about each one of these 3? Accounting, well, Ali would not like it because she likes to deal with people, right? Someone like me that would rather just sit in a corner in front of a computer and do my stuff and just leave me alone, perfect, right? IT is a little bit of a mix because you got to talk to people to get certain things done. Financial advisor is completely different. I love it. It's really rewarding because you meet with clients, you talk to them, and you build that relationship just like Ali does, right? That is really rewarding, especially when things worked out as you planned, right? How did I get into each one of these? To be honest, when I graduated from university, I am clueless. I have no idea what's out there. I spent a lot of time praying, asking for guidance and directions. I even beg and argue, and I even make promises and make deals with God, right? Which I know you're not supposed to do, but at that time, I'm young and stupid. And I wasn't going to church at that time, so, you know. So yeah, I think every one of those jobs was from God. The 2 years, I often ask God, why did he get me through university on a computer science degrees and then put me 2 years in accounting, right? But now I know because I've been using that skill for the church, right, for many years now. Yeah, so that's, I could go on and on. That could go on forever, so I'm going to end here.
Thank you, Denny. Okay, so we have one more. So Lisa's going to come up and share about her time in HR. So why don't we stand up for a bit, stretch a bit. And this is the last one, and then we get donuts. Okay, guys, sit down. Here you go, Lisa.
Thank you. I'll try and be fast so you can have your donuts. So HR actually stands for Human Resources. So I'm in HR. butter. I didn't get here initially, so when people talk about their plans, my plan changed, and I'll cover that in a little bit. But HR has a number of different umbrellas, so there's multiple competencies. So you might hear job titles such as like a trainer, a recruiter, an HR generalist. You might hear, there's labor relations. There's so many different avenues in human resources that if you like anything to do with people, this might be an avenue for you to go. So my specific role probably means not really much to anyone, but it's called Senior Benefits Consultant. I work for the City of Winnipeg, and I focus on employee benefits. So those are things that you get as part of your total compensation package. Now, if I go back, my job touches all of these competencies every day of my job. I'm dealing with your total compensation, so what you get paid, your benefits form a part of it. I'm also part of labor relations, so your benefits might be negotiated if you're part of a union. I deal with training, so I do a lot of education and prepare presentations just like this. But my role encompasses so much, and it's not just employee benefits. I do training for benefit administrators. I teach them how they need to manage the system that we use at the City of Winnipeg. I do a lot of data audits. So if you ask my husband, I love crime shows. I like investigations. So auditing is, while it might be mind-numbing for some people, I enjoy it because I can find that needle in a haystack in data. You give me an Excel spreadsheet, I'll find something wrong. But I also get to have time where I perform training summits. So I might bring a bunch of people together just like this, and I will do training for them about what is employee benefits. So those are things, and if you go to the dentist and see Ellie, you probably have had your dental cleaning. Your parents, if they have a job that provides employee benefits, submitted that claim to their insurance provider to get coverage through it. So there's different connections, but that all is part of something that your parents probably have. And if you have a job, you probably, if you qualify after a certain period of time, would have employee benefits. So I do a lot of different things in my role, and that's one of the things that makes it so interesting for me, is that I don't have, it's not mind-numbing for me. While I do really love the office work, don't put me outside because I hate the summer. I'm not good with the sun, so I'm good with AC. Give me an office space that has AC and I'm happy. So for me, what really drew me into this and what I love about my job, and I put it into two buckets, is I get to help people. So I get the variety, I do education, and I support them. If people have questions about what is my coverage today, or can I do this with my benefits, how do I make the system work for me, I can help them with that. So I have something that is like at my fingertips. I can find you an answer or get you the answer within a short period of time. The other thing for me is that it was a brand new opportunity. So my actual position today did not exist at the City of Winnipeg 5 years ago. I've gotten this job, and I brought so much of my experience over the years that I had through HR in different positions, but it gives me the opportunity where I get to build this position out. So sometimes you get your foot into a door at a place, and you might actually start doing something completely different and building that. And that's what I get to do in my role. So I've gotten to develop training programs, I've got to develop all the communication materials for employees, and I get to educate them about what coverage they have and what forms part of that total compensation. Typically, you're having those conversations when you're hired with your recruiter or your HR generalist or whoever you're doing your paperwork with. You might be talking about that, but that's forming part of that. And so I get to build that stuff. And so I get to play, so a lot of my stuff is either in PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Canva is one of my favorite things right now. But those are all the things, and I get to play and make this kind of stuff, and I get to play with colors, and I get to make it all fancy-dancy and have some fun with it. Because for a lot of people, benefits, if you were to ask Byron, when I talk benefits, it's glossed over, doesn't mean anything. When he talks cars, as long as my car gets me from A to B, I'm happy. But when he starts talking, I'm like, what's a chassis? That's my extent of mechanical knowledge. So that's what drives me at my work, is that I don't have a day that's the same thing every day, all day. I get to change it up all the time. What influenced my career was 5 full things. One is my mentor. I got a job and things were changing. So I was actually going to be going through a workforce reduction, and I knew I was going to lose my job. And that happens. It can happen anywhere you go. But I had a mentor who spotted something in me while I was doing a position as an HR analyst, and she said, "You want to know what? You're really good at details. Why don't you consider benefits?" But if you had asked me when I was doing my HR certificate, I was like, "No, I'm going to do recruitment. I get to talk to people all day." Or "I'm going to do training." No. She's like, "Benefits might be your wheelhouse. You're really good at this." So that was one thing. My other thing was my skill set. I'm really good with data. If you've ever played the game of Clue, I will challenge you. My favorite game, I'm always Miss Scarlet. That's always been one of my favorites. So I like to find things. I like to work in data. I like to try and make it better. I like to do process improvement. The other thing was change management for me. I don't have a day that's the same. I also get to help people move through change. It's not always the same for people. So the other two kind of tie together was opportunity and fulfillment. I wanted a job that was going to give me the opportunity to help others, but I needed the opportunity to do so. So my career path was, if you would have asked me in high school, I was going to be a pharmacist. I loved chemistry, biology not so much. And then I got to university, and that changed my world. So just like Poston said earlier, you have to make a plan, but you also need to consider what you like. It completely changed my mind, and I didn't take my last HR course. Sorry, I'm going to go over. But I took my HR class in my last year of my Bachelor of Science. So I wasn't quitting, because I was at that stage. I'm not quitting. I'm going to get my Bachelor of Science, and that's what got me my first job. While I was working, I actually went back to school because I was working full-time, but I went through, so I got my Bachelor of Science at U of M, and I went to Red River and got my Certificate of Human Resources. And that program was fantastic for me because I could work full-time and do those courses online, on my own. It was self-study, and I was able to get it done. From there, what really drew me was I had to find the opportunities. So I first started with a work placement at the place I was working that I got with my Bachelor of Science. And then from there, I got my HR analyst job, and that's who got me where I got my mentor. And she really encouraged me to dive into benefits, and I did. So from there, you can get a chartered professional of HR. So it's just like a CPA. You have to do continuing education if you do that. You don't necessarily have to have that. Like if you get work experience, that's more than sufficient. And I have a lot to say on that point, but I'm not going to stick on that. But you can do things to help your resume. So getting on boards, doing volunteer work, that sort of stuff helps. And then you find your niche. That's what I did. I'm really good at employee benefits. That's my niche. So now I'm dedicated to that branch. And in my role today, I'm able to help support all the other different areas of HR because I'm a subject matter expert in it. So there's lots of pathways in HR. You can go to university, you can get a bachelor, like Asper School of Business. You can go to U of W, and I believe they also have the co-op program there, or you can get a certificate from Red River. So there's options here in Winnipeg that you could do that. There's also the option of not necessarily doing school, but getting your foot in the door and working your way up and getting the work experience, hands-on experience in the office. It is an administrative job, but there's lots of opportunity, and you can start doing like any type of thing of filing paperwork and get all the way up. So there's lots of chances there.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone who shared. So now it's time for donuts and for you guys to go and ask questions to other people. So I'm going to run through the people who haven't presented, just so you know what sort of jobs they did. So at this table at the front, Emily, do you want to stand up? So Emily was a dental, guys, we got to get through all these people. Emily was a dental assistant and is now a graphic designer. So she's worked in two, like a medical field and an office job, so she can answer a lot of questions. At that table, we have Brenda. Brenda, you want to stand up? So Brenda has worked in a lot of kitchens and has organized a bunch of stuff, so she's a really good resource for that. And I'm going to get Nick and Giselle to stand up. So that is Nick and Giselle. Hopefully you can tell the difference. They're both nurses, but Giselle is a nurse in a clinic and Nick is a nurse in a hospital. Very different nursing jobs, very different kind of ways to get there. So talk to them if you want to be a nurse. And who else am I missing? Anyone? And Nico, stand up. So Nico is special because Nico is not necessarily Nico's not especially in a career. Nico works at McDonald's, which is, let me tell you, is a great way to start working and make money. And so if you want to talk about working at McDonald's or working in fast food, he can maybe even get you a job if you're looking for a job. So this is why I brought Nico. He's a great first step for a lot of you who are graduating high school or maybe is still in high school who need jobs. So go talk to Nico. So I think that's everybody. I didn't miss anyone. Cool. I'm going to go grab the donuts. Everyone can have one donut each, and you guys can go start asking questions to everyone else. Okay, so there's boxes of donuts now on the tables. They're on the tables with the important people. So if you're grabbing a donut, go ask questions. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to clean up the tables and start putting out rows for Sunday morning. So leftover donuts can go on the table out in the atrium, and then we can start putting stuff away.